Hong Kong's leadership poll has become the latest to fall prey to the city's worst COVID-19 outbreak to date. The chief executive election will be postponed from next month to May. Live to Deborah Wong in just a moment, but first a look at how the city is trying to boost vaccinations and testing in the face of a mounting crisis.
Parents in Hong Kong are racing to get their kids vaccinated against COVID-19. Up until now, only 12% of eligible kids in the city have taken the shot. But the recent deaths of 2 infected toddlers is serving as a wake-up call.
打咗疫苗，佢哋之前驚打疫苗咧係驚有副作用嘅，咁但係其實依家都驚唔到咁多㗎啦。其實都係希望佢打咗疫苗之後咧，會更加有好啲保護咯。
而家要擔心都擔心唔到咁多㗎啦，起碼保住條命仔先啦。萬一有咩事咧，即係起碼防咗個重症先啦，因為真係太得人驚啦。
Take-up rates are low too among people older than 80. 60% of them are unvaccinated, and some are now paying the price, languishing outside hospitals that are too full to take them in.
Parents are in their 90s. They're not allowed to stand up. They only use diapers on them. So that's why they were bed bound for 4 days, 5 days. And then my dad could barely walk afterwards.
Hong Kong's zero-COVID policy sends even those with mild or no symptoms to hospitals or quarantine centers. Targeted lockdowns and tighter curbs are also hurting businesses. And some are asking if zero-COVID is mission impossible.
After all, even though maybe zero COVID can be reached, there is still uncertainty on how long can it be reached and then what is the cost of maintaining it. The biggest risk of Hong Kong in 2022 is that it may be entering the path of basically, if not recession, at least a downward drag in economic growth again while the world begins to normalize.
Towing the line from Beijing, leader Carrie Lam has doubled down on a zero-COVID policy. She's now considering mass tests for all Hong Kong residents. But some believe even that will not arrest the outbreak.
實啲人流動嘅，其實如果你全民檢測，一係你就一次過做到，但係如果你唔係一次過做到嘅話，呢個感染翻嗰個亦都係冇乜用咯。咁如果你係可以一次過做嘅，咁咪變咗好似而家咁樣排隊咯。咁你排幾個鐘，其實對啲老人家嚟講，或者身體唔好嗰啲人嚟講，都係會好大問題。
With the arrival of mainland Chinese health experts and supplies, Hong Kong says it can boost its daily COVID tests from 200 to 300,000 by the end of the month.
And Deborah Wong joins us live from Hong Kong. Deborah, even so, Hong Kong confident it can contain this latest outbreak by May.
Well, the situation here is quite severe, and experts are projecting that Hong Kong can peak cases at 28,000 by mid-March if nothing drastic is done. You know, in January, the government said that it was still confident that it can get the situation under control, but right now we are seeing daily caseloads of 3,000 to 4,000, and so Mrs. Lam has made the decision to invoke the emergency ordinance to postpone the election. And she says that she's already gotten consent from President Xi, from the mainland authorities to do so. Now, this also comes days after President Xi made some remarks urging the Hong Kong government to make solving the pandemic an overriding priority. So we're seeing steps being taken to solve the crisis at the moment. Now, Mrs. Lam did say that the change date of 8 May will also give the chief executive-elect time to form its own team ahead of the new term that will start on the 1st of July. And she also hopes that the delay can give the government enough time to solve the current crisis. But she also did say that, you know, the government cannot rule out postponing the election even further. The current term of government cannot be further extended, and any calls to do so will need to be made by Beijing. Let's hear what she has to say.
I don't have a crystal ball. I could not guarantee that by early February, when the nomination period starts again, that we will not have COVID-19 cases in Hong Kong. But we still have about 6 weeks to fight this epidemic, and with the full support of the Central People's Government, and you are seeing this support coming almost every day, I remain optimistic. And I appeal to the people of Hong Kong to remain optimistic and confident that we will be able to overcome this public health crisis.
Mrs. Lam has said her government plans to test every single resident. How would that work?
Well, she said that there will be universal testing, but there are no details released at the moment because time is still needed to work out a plan. But we do know that it may take on a similar approach like what we saw in Macau and the mainland, where residents here can be tested up to 3 times. So there are also no plans to impose a citywide lockdown. And this has been reiterated countless of times by Mrs. Lam during previous press conferences because it's quite resource intensive. But what we do know, however, that isolation strategy will be continued to enhance. Now, we've seen scenes of overcrowded hospitals over the past week, and you've just seen a story where people, the elderly, the children, are all waiting in the cold. And in the coming days, temperatures are expected to drop below 10 degrees Celsius. So really urgent help is needed to get that in order. And we do know that Mrs. Lam has already spoken to the hotel industry, and she secured over 20,000 rooms to move these patients there for isolation. And some of these patients, as we speak, are also being sent to Penny's Bay Quarantine Centre as well as empty public housing blocks. Now, the mainland has also agreed to help build a makeshift hospital for more isolation facilities. Now, it's really all hands on deck as the government tries to stem the current coronavirus outbreak in the lead up to the elections. Back to you.
And thanks for that. Deborah Wong speaking to us there from Hong Kong.